Tatum Boniface, and he's crossing the 50-yard line. He has no one to the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Otterbein.
Good snap, good hold. The kick is up from Gaither, and it is good. Takes the give to Rudolph. Sizemore throwing off his back foot. What a catch by Bryson Ray! Oh my goodness!
Live from the studios at 33 College View, it's time for the Tim Doup Coaches Show on 97.5 WOBN. Now, here's your host, David Kinder.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome back for another exciting edition of Week 2 of the Tim Doup Coaches Show in preparation for the Week 2 matchup with the Marietta Pioneers. I am joined in the studios here at 33 College View with third-year head football coach Tim Doup, and joining us is Rico Suave, as you called him last week, the number 5 senior cornerback from Granville, Ohio. Ty Compton, were you aware that was your nickname on the team, Rico Suave?
Yeah, Coach Doup calls me that every once in a while.
All right, well, looking at last week's game, Otterbein opened up the 2014 season, their 125th season of football. Last Saturday, we obviously had the bye week, so we didn't have a show last week. So looking back to last Saturday's matchup with the different Cardinals from Rochester, Otterbein goes to St. John Fisher, and they get a tough loss, 14-36, the final score in that one against the number 9 team in all of the country. A tight game right up until about the third quarter, only trailing by a touchdown going into the locker room. Quick score, talking about it, the first play of the second half, actually. Otterbein gets an 80-yard touchdown run on a wildcat play in which Cole Benner tosses it to Reed Hutchinson, takes it 82 yards for a touchdown. You tie the ball game up, and then after that, Otterbein gets a quick 3-and-out, coach, and then we come right back to the Wildcat, and we run the Wildcat 2 times in a row. The first time, it's a tackle for loss. Benner keeps it. The second time, it's a give to Hutchinson. He's tackled in the end zone for a safety. I don't know about you, but it felt like a lot of the momentum lost the team at that point. What was the decision-making going into running the Wildcat play 3 times in a row?
Well, nobody'd seen it, and, we hit just one play of it. I thought, you know what, and I was talking to Coach D'Amico, and we probably got a little greedy, but the one he kept up the middle that Cole did, if we block that correctly like we're supposed to do, he has about 10 to 15-yard play on that. We screwed up front, and that would have got us out of that hole. And I'll be honest, that the second one was on us. We got too greedy. We should have never done it. They came a little bit harder off the edge. They didn't worry about anything else and got us in the end zone. So, that one's on us. That's not on the guys. That's just coaching, and I got a little greedy and thought we could bust another one and get the edge, and obviously they prepared for it. Down
on the sideline, did you as a coaching staff feel like that was a real momentum killer, that really ended with all the work you guys have done to tie the ball game up?
Not really. Obviously it was a downer a little bit because we just came off of a high, of tying it up, and then our defense did a great job. And, it's a mistake. Mistakes are going to happen in a football game. But I really thought even right after that we were fine. I said, okay, no big deal. So I told the coaches on the phones, I said, fellas, we're fine. No big deal. We're down 2. I mean, we're okay.
Focusing on that first half a little bit more, the very first possession, St. John Fisher scores a touchdown just 3 plays into the game, a pass from Tyler Finty to Chris Campese. But after that first drive, it seemed like the defense really figured out the St. John Fisher offense for the rest of the first half. Ty, what did you notice that they did offensively? And as a defense, how do you feel that you guys handled them in the first half?
Well, they were just doing everything that we were working on in practice. We played real physical, I felt, after that first drive. We kind of got into the groove of the game, and we're just playing our keys and doing what we do best. Unfortunately, in the second half, they capitalized on some of our mistakes, and that's how they scored some points.
You played against St. John Fisher both this year and last year. Last year's team went on to make it to the playoffs before getting bounced in the third round. This year's team 1-0, obviously right now in the top 10 in the country. Did you feel that they were more improved from last year, or that last year's team was better?
Oh, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if you can compare the two teams. I mean, a lot of things change from year to year. I know we have definitely improved. We still have a long way to go, but I feel like we competed. We put some points up this year, which was nice to see, and defensively we played well in the first half.
Going into the locker room, Coach, Otterbein only trailed by a touchdown to the number 9 team in all the country. You had to feel pretty excited as a coaching staff and among the entire team. What was the halftime message in the locker room?
Well, the message was real simple. Fellas, we should be winning. If you look at the first half, we fumbled on the 10. We had a touchdown called back. We missed a field goal and dropped a punt on the 31. I mean, looking at it, I told everybody, take a deep breath here. We should be winning this game 17-7 or even more than that. So, I felt good. The bad thing was that they did, on fourth down, throw one up. Kid made a great catch in the end zone to put us down 14-7. But going in, I was about as relaxed as you could get. Just make and offensively, I know we were talking, and we're like, what adjustments do we need to make? We're like, well, everything's working. We were throwing the ball well, we were running the ball well, and going in only 7 down when I was sort of disappointed because I thought we should be 7 up.
We talked a lot in the first week's edition 2 weeks ago about the offensive line and the lack of experience. 150 yards rushing in the ball game, but 140 of those yards came on just 2 of Reed Hutchinson's carries, a 58-yarder in the second quarter, an 82-yard touchdown in the third quarter. Brick Davis ended up getting sacked 4 times in the game, twice in the first half, twice in the second half. Overall, how did you think the O-line did, and what grade would you give them?
I'd say probably a C. Not up to my standards. We made some bonehead things up front. We did some things that, they did a couple of things that confused us, and you could tell, especially a couple of younger guys that have never started before. But I'd say we were average at best. Those sacks, 2 of them, I know for sure 2 of them were, we should have changed the protection, and Brick knows that. But, and a couple other ones, we just, flat out, they were a little bit better than us on those plays. But, our defense did a great job getting sacks. So, running the ball, that's expected. I don't care how you get your rushing yards, but it really doesn't matter if you bust 2 80-yarders or whatever you do. It's still rushing yardage. So, as far as that goes, we want to be rushing around 200 a game. So, we fell a little short on that.
Your senior quarterback, Brick Davis, completed 62% of his passes, no passing touchdowns, but no interceptions. He did fumble once in the red zone. Overall, how did you feel that he played, and what did you guys work on in this bye week?
Well, I think he managed the game very well. Brick understands the offense, and he can put people where they belong and do some things. He's very verbal. I thought he managed the game, really well, and we really didn't, have a lot of shots to take deep. I know he only threw for, he completed 22 passes, I believe, but he managed the game well, and I thought we were very productive in running and throwing the ball, trying to be at least 50-50.
We talked a lot in the first episode as well about the tight ends and how you felt that they could be a big part of this offense. Only 1 target to a tight end in that first game, a 6-yard pass to your starting tight end in Bryson Ray. Was that because you felt the tight ends needed more in the blocking game, or what was the reason for the lack of targets to the ends?
Well, we do target them a little bit. We didn't throw exactly to them, but, they're in a lot of routes. If you watch, when we go empty, a lot of times our tight end stays in. It's just they just covered him. And then on the one that we did target him, they sat on it. We tried to take a shot and hit a little pop pass there, and they sat on it, and they did a good job defensively. But, I think as the year goes, our tight ends will become more and more and more efficient in our offense.
Ty, you had 5 tackles in the game against St. John Fisher, 3rd most on the team. Your fellow defensive back, Ryan Moore, had a game-high 13. However, it's not exactly the defensive backs you want making the majority of the tackles, because often that means the tackles are being made downfield. Is that how you feel that in the game, a lot of the times if the DB is making the tackle, it's happening away from the scrimmage?
Well, yeah, obviously you want your defensive linemen and linebackers to make the majority of your tackles, but one of the problems we had defensively, we gave up 10 big plays. So when you're giving up plays down the field, your defensive backs are going to make a lot of tackles. That's one of the things we worked on, was not giving up those big plays, as well as we worked on tackling up front and in the DBs as well.
Big plays, the biggest area of concern you mentioned. So during the bye week, what was it that Coach Moore and Coach Doup worked on you guys with about defending Marietta, looking forward to next week?
Well, most of we were just working on reading our keys, getting our eyes out of the backfield, defensive back-wise, reading what the receivers do, staying on them. We don't want one guy slipping out deep and having them throw it over top. Just things like that. We also worked a lot on tackling. I know in the run game we missed quite a few tackles, and they were able to bust some long runs that way.
36-14, the final score in the season opener for the Otterbein Cardinals. They'll next take to the field this Saturday when they take on the 1-0 Pioneers of Marietta with a 2 o'clock kick. Well, that previews everything from the Week 1 matchup. We'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll look at the Pioneers from the Ohio River and see what Coach Doup and Ty Compton have to say about them.
Fewer than 5 out of 100 people give blood. Ever wonder why they do it?
It's the one thing that we can do that we can always afford to do, and hey, you get a snack afterwards. So
snacks are great. I had never knew my blood type, and I found out in doing this that I'm O negative, so there's that added pressure knowing that everyone can use my blood at any time, and so I feel like it's my responsibility.
It's a little extra bragging power too, knowing that you're a universal giver.
Yeah, I'm pretty special.
Call 1-800-RED-CROSS or visit redcrossblood.org to make an appointment today.
Hi, I'm Junior Center Grant Knoppenberger. You're listening to the Tim Doup Coaches Show here on 97.5 WOBN. Miss anything from today's episode, you can listen to every show on WOBN's YouTube page.
Hey loser, give me your lunch money.
But I need it to eat today.
Too bad, you little twerp. I'm taking it, and you can't stop me.
Somebody help me. Ouch!
Nobody's gonna help you, loser.
Every day, thousands of children are bullied at school. The worst part is that it can be prevented. Find out what you can do to put an end to bullying by visiting stopbullying.gov. Don't be a bystander. Take action against bullying. Stopbullying.gov.
I used to be one of those irresponsible guys, always goofing off and acting like a real jerk. Girls wouldn't give me the time of day. Hey, Julie, do you have the time?
Shut up.
Then, 30 days before my 18th birthday, I went down to my local post office and registered with Selective Service. Overnight.
I became aware of the man I had suddenly become, eligible for federal student loans, government jobs, and job training, responsible and mature. Hi, Julie. Dinner tonight?
I'd love to, Brad.
So register with Selective Service. It's what a man's gotta do.
These are the sounds of someone taking their eyes off the road. Texting while driving is more than distracting. It's dangerous. Do yourself a favor. Do us all a favor. When you're on the road, stay off the phone. A message from CTIA, America's Wireless Companies, and the National Safety Council.
Back here on the Tim Doup Coaches Show, David Kinder, along with head football coach Tim Doup and senior cornerback Ty Compton. And coach, in the break, you were just telling me that today was the first day you actually got to go on the new field and check it out for the first time.
Yeah, I was got a chance to. I was in a meeting and Don Stewart called me and said, "Hey, you got a minute? I want to walk out on the track and the turf with you." I was like, "Are you kidding me? I'll make a minute." But yeah, it was great. I got a chance to walk out there, and it looks great. It feels great, and I don't think our guys know it, but they're going to run around on it today for the first time. So, it's an exciting time.
So Saturday will be the first time that Otterbein plays a home game on that turf field, and so you say that they'll get a chance to practice a little bit before they actually go out and play a game on it.
Yeah, we're going to go out for about a half an hour today, run around a little bit, and then Tuesday I think the band's going to be out there on it, and then we're going to get a chance to really practice, Wednesday, Thursday on it, and I think it's going to be. I think our practice will be a little bit more upbeat. It's better than being down on the hard grass and dirt, as what we've turned it into. I feel like the Junction Boys down there.
Ty, you have to be a little excited. Not sure what you got to do in high school in your home games, if they had turf or grass. You've played a lot of away games on turf, but for the first time in front of a home crowd at Memorial Stadium, we'll be able to play on that brand new turf.
Yeah, exactly. In high school, we had grass, but we played a few games on turf. But it's nice. Last year, we played half our games on turf, and this year we're playing all of them. It's nice to be, even though we were the last school in the OAC to get turf, it's nice to finally be up there with the other schools.
Better late than never. As we look forward to this week's opponent is the Pioneers of Marietta. They won their Week 1 matchup with Kenyon. They are 1-0 on the season. They are projected to finish 10th in the coaches poll and 9th in the media poll at OAC Media Day. Otterbein obviously defeated Marietta in a close game last year, a thrilling game. And as long as I've been here, it's been Otterbein plays their non-conference game. They have a bye week, and then they play their 9 straight conference games in a row. Are you a fan of how that schedule works out and how that goes, having your bye week so early and then having a grueling 9-game conference schedule with no breaks?
Well, it's, it drives you crazy sometimes because you're coming off a win or a loss, and obviously guys just want to get back on the field the following Saturday. I mean, we got beat, and that's the worst thing that can happen is wait 14 days. But I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. I would rather have our bye like week 5 or 6. Once you've played 4 or 5 games, boom, then you get a chance to recoup your body. But right now, that's just the way it's set up, where Capital and B-Dub got to go 10 straight. So, that's their choice. But at least we do have a bye week, at least to get our bodies healthy and try to fix the things that we screwed up.
Ty, what about you? Would you rather just play through the schedule and have a bye week later in the OAC season and get after that Week 1 game and get back? Because they say you make your most improvement between Week 1 and Week 2, and when you have a big, long 2-week break in there, it's got to be a little anticipating, getting ready for that second game of the year.
Yeah, like Coach Doup was saying, coming off a loss, it's tough to have to wait 14 days before we play our next game. Physically, I think it might be good for us to get a little rest in there, but mentally, as a player, you just want to get right back out there the next week.
Otterbein defeated Marietta 29-21 last year here in Memorial Stadium. Play them here again at Memorial Stadium. That was the game with the blocked field goal that Boniface returned for a touchdown that really changed the tide in that game. Based on what you remember from last year's game, Coach, and any film that you've seen of their Week 1 victory over Kenyon, what do you see that Marietta could bring that would be a challenge for your team?
Well, I think, just they're 1-0. I mean, they're going to be, I don't, like I said, rankings mean nothing to me, never have. But, they're 1-0, and they're feeling pretty good. So they're going to come in with a lot of enthusiasm, and they're young. So, they don't know any better of what's going on. I mean, they're, like I said, after that win at Kenyon, they were down 11-0, and they came back, roaring back, and I think scored 4 touchdowns. And, they're going to be a good opponent. I think they're going to be on cloud 9, and we're going to have to match that energy.
29-11, the final in that game, so they score 29 unanswered points to beat the Lords. Offensively, you said they're a young team, and they lost a lot of guys from last year. Second-year head coach Andy Waddle had to replace a lot. They returned 0 of their top 5 rushers from a season ago, and their leading returning passer only attempted 2 passes last year in the 2013 season. Ty, do you see that as a benefit that these are younger, less experienced guys, but also as a defensive back, you've never seen any of these guys play before, so you don't know their tendencies?
Right, everyone we're seeing for the first time, it seems like. Again, they're an OAC opponent, so we know they're going to be tough competition, and we're going to have to be ready.
In their Week 1 win over an average Kenyon team, Coach, they used 2 quarterbacks. It was sophomore Keel Young started the game, was replaced by the junior Lucas Havens, who ended up rushing for 2 touchdowns and passing for another. Young passed for $148 in the first half before injuring himself. What challenges does that bring planning the game that you don't exactly know who they're going to be running in there at quarterback?
Well, I think, Coach Moore and I have talked extensively, and Coach Davila about, what we're going to do defensively. They are both a little bit different. They started number 4, I believe that's his number, first until he got hurt. Right. I think all along, though, they planned on playing them both during that game because I don't think they had a clear-cut number 1. But then he got hurt, and they brought in the other one. And like I said, I've seen him on film. I mean, he's scrappy. He rushed for 2 touchdowns through it, and brought him back to win. So I think we just got to stay fundamentally sound, no matter who's in there. If we stay fundamentally sound and learn from our mistakes from last week, and we should be okay. They did some things different to us last year with all that unbalanced stuff, and we weren't ready for that. So we talked this morning about it and how much do we want to prepare for that compared to what we've seen, and I think we still need to prepare for some of that stuff.
Looking at the Pioneers on the defensive side of the ball, they're another team that can get in the backfield and cause problems. They had 7 sacks in week 1, and they limited the Lords to just 172 yards of total offense. What can we expect to see them out of defensive alignments, and who should be the players we should look out for?
Well, number 10, their D-end, he's back, Ortega, and then number 43 was the OAC Player of the Week, the other defensive end. So, but that was, last week, and I think he had 3 sacks himself, 4 tackles for loss. Their Mike linebacker is back, their Will linebacker is back, and their safety is back. So they're going to be a 4-down lineman. They're a 4-3 defense, a lot of twisting and blitzing. I mean, there's part of the reason Kenyon got in trouble is just because of all the twisting and blitzing, that they did something every single play, and that's what we got to be ready for.
You mentioned a lot of blitzing. Can we expect to see a couple fullbacks in the backfield to help protect Davis, or what can we see from the offensive line that might counteract their blitzing defense?
Well, the thing that we're a little bit different than Kenyon. Kenyon tried to line up in 2 double tight and 2 back, and and run the football. That's not us. So they just loaded the box, and now I think they'll twist on us and try to blitz us. But I think with our protections, we're a little bit more different. I think they got to prepare for us a little bit different because we can go 5 wide and sling it around some that slow them down.
Offensively, are there any lineup changes we can expect to see compared to the depth chart from the Week 1 matchup?
No, not right now. Right now, I don't see any changes unless somebody, knock on wood, hopefully nobody gets hurt this week. But right now, we did get some dings and things like that, but I think right now we're going to be healthy all week, and I think we're going to roll with it. I think we're good.
Speaking of injuries, saw last week walking around campus, Connor Lucas still in a boot. Any update on the status of his injury?
Connor right now, he sees a surgeon. He had an MRI. He's going to see the doctor on Wednesday. Hopefully that's good news. From what we haven't read the MRI yet. We have no information. And if it's still just a high ankle sprain, he'll be out probably another 4 weeks or so.
Moving towards the defensive side of the ball with Ty, Marietta, you limited them to just 89 yards passing last year as a defensive back. However, they did rush for 277 yards. Tim Connors, their senior running back, gone. He had the majority of those yards, and they rushed the ball almost 40 times in the game. As a defensive back, obviously, you're primarily concerned with the passing game, but with a team that has had success running the ball in the past, what do you do in particular at the defensive backfield position to try to stop their nice running attack?
Well, defensive backs, we want to focus on reading the run first before we jump anything. We don't want to have a receiver slip behind us for a big play. We also want to get off blocks, get to the ball, rally to the ball. Maybe if one of the linebackers has them stood up, maybe we can come in and get a strip or something like that. But most of the big thing is we just want to get them down. We don't want any broken tackles. We had a few last week. We don't want to do that again.
Aside from getting the victory and going 1-1 on the season, any individual goals or goals for the entire defense in general that you've set for your team or that Coach Doup has set for you guys?
Well, we want to limit the big plays. Like I said, last week we had 10, I think. Those lead to points, and we don't want to give up any points if we can. So
hopefully we'll see a goose egg up on the scoreboard, too, and get a shutout to christen the new turf field. Well, that game is at 2 o'clock at Memorial Stadium. If you can't make it to the stadium, as Coach said, it's probably going to be a madhouse, and there's going to be a lot of fans there. So if you want to just kick back and relax and listen to it at home, you can listen to that game right here on 97.5 WOBN, and we'll have a 30-minute pregame show before. And it's also homecoming, big tradition around campus, so hopefully we'll see a lot of alumni around campus as well. Well, that'll do it for our preview. Or a preview for Marietta. We'll take our second break. When we come back, we'll do as usual, look around something else going on in Division I college football and get Ty and Coach's opinions on that. You're listening to the Tim Doup Coaches Show here on 97.5. We'll be right back.
Football is a sport that unites fans, players, and coaches alike in a spirit of competition and camaraderie. Football season has come to our area, and while you're watching a game with friends or sharing in the excitement with family, be sure to celebrate responsibly. Never pick up the keys and drive if you've had too much to drink. And if you're 21, drinking alcohol is against the law. Remember, alcohol is different. Let's all work together to keep our roads and community safe and have a winning season.
Be sure to log on to WOBN.net for a complete broadcast schedule of music, talk shows, and sports. That's WOBN.net.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day. Football I want to be a bike that races around the country. I want to be a bench on a forest trail. When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Would your business survive a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
Can't make it to one of the football games this year? Well, WOBN has you covered with live broadcast of all 10 football games this year, home and away. Join us 30 minutes before kickoff for pregame and stay with us long after the final whistle for analysis and updates on what else happened in college football. It's all right here on 97.5 WOBN and streaming live anywhere in the world on WOBN.net. Welcome back to the Tim Doup Coaches Show. David Kinder, along with senior defensive back Ty Compton. Now for our final segment of the show, where we discuss something else going on in major college football. Maybe not relevant to D3 football. Sometimes it is. And today we're going to be discussing, it's going to be a groundbreaking season in Division I college football this year. Gone is the BCS. Gone is the chaos of the Bowl Championship Series. And welcome the Division I college football playoff system. And as we know, 4 teams, regardless of conference, at the end of the year will make a playoff with rotating bowl games hosting as the semifinals. D3 has had a playoff system since 1969, so playing in D3 for a long time, coaching in D3 for a long time, you're already used to the playoff system. Looking at it from the Division I point of view, though, it's something brand new. Are you a fan of it? Did you like the bowl system, or are you excited for the playoffs?
Well, I think the playoffs are going to bring a little bit more, of energy. You get to watch 3 games, so you watch the semis, and then, you get to watch the championship game. I am a fan. The only thing I see is people out there that are going to, it's all going to start all over again. Who's that 4th team if it's not clear cut? Who belongs? Which it's been the same thing with 1 and 2 most of the time. Where everybody always knew who 1 was, but you throw a loss in there on everybody. Who was that second team going to play for the national title? Now I feel like you're going to have a 1 and a 2. Who could be the 3, 4? Is number 5, I think that's going to get hairy a little bit.
The field in the D3 tournament is obviously a lot bigger. A lot more teams get in. Do you see that the Division I format will expand one day to match the D3 tournament, or will it stay 4 for a while?
I don't think they can do it. I just don't think they can play that many extra games. I mean, you're looking at 32 teams. That could get a little crazy with 1 playing 32. I mean, I'm sure that game would. I just don't see it matching up as well. Could they maybe go to 8, maybe, instead of 4? But still, I don't see anybody, with us at 32. There's no way I don't think D1 could do that.
You have to admit, it would be a little exciting if D3 did do a bowl game system, though. And Otterbein got to travel around and play a bowl game every year.
Awesome. It would be a lot of fun.
Maybe they'll do a little role reversal. D1 can take the playoffs. D3 will take the bowl games.
We'll take the bowls and the millions of dollars.
Yeah, and all the free gifts that come with it, too. Being from the central Ohio area for a while, is there a team that you root for in the Division I ranks and that you want to see make the playoff? Would you say you're an Ohio State fan is basically what I'm getting at?
I am, but I'm a college football fan. I don't really cheer for one, team. I like watching, everybody likes you either hate Alabama or love them to death. I like what Nick Saban does with his players. I watch coaches. how they deal with their programs. Like the other night of the Texas UCLA game, I was rooting for Charlie Strong. I wanted because I think he's going to do a great job. Then in the Georgia South Carolina game, I know Mark Richt, the guy can't buy a break. I wanted him to win that game. It's his time. It seems like something always goes wrong. So I just like watching coaches and listening to them and how they run their programs and cheer for those coaches that I like.
A little friendlier than Nick Saban, though, is.
Nick, he's pretty headstrong.
Ty, what about you? Are you a fan of the very first playoff system we're going to have this year, or did you enjoy every January 1st getting to watch all the bowl games and all the BCS games, the Rose Bowl? A little bit of that tradition is a little lessened now, but you get a playoff system. Are you a fan of that?
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of the bowl games, but I also like the new system. But like Coach Doup was saying, there's going to be a lot of controversy, I feel, between that fourth and fifth team who gets into the 4-team playoff and who's that one team that's left out.
Playing on Saturdays, obviously you don't get to watch a lot of D1 football, but being from the Central Ohio area in Granville, who's the team that you root for in the Division I ranks?
I mean, I grew up an Ohio State fan, so they were probably the one team that I follow the most.
And during the break, you told us you're also a fan of?
I'm a fan of Duke University. They had some rough years here in the past few years, but last year, they made it to the ACC championship and played against Johnny Manziel in the bowl game.
Family went to Duke, or just a fan of the colors, or what's the reasoning?
I guess I started off as a basketball fan, and it trickled down to the other sports.
Well, maybe
I'm a North Carolina fan. Sorry, dude. So now we're really banging heads.
Ty Compton will not be in the starting lineup.
Ty has now been put on the bench for this week.
We'll put you on the third string, Ty. I'm sure you guys can still get along. North Carolina blue and Duke blue. Well, maybe we'll get lucky, and we'll see an Ohio State matchup with Duke in the first ever playoff system.
It could happen.
It could happen. That would be something.
Absolutely, it could happen.
And maybe we'll see one day the bowl games come to Division III college football. Well, thank you to Coach Doup and to Ty Compton for joining us here on the Week 2 edition of the Tim Doup Coaches Show. Do you know who will be joining us next week yet?
Next week will probably be Mr. Hamilton. I will bring Hammy, our other captain, and then the following week will probably be Grant Knoppenberger. So
going through the captains.
We'll go through the captains first. They deserve it.
So we'll hear from Zach Hamilton next week, and hopefully we'll hear about an honor-bind victory over the Marietta Pioneers. And, of course, you can listen to that game right here on 97.5 WOBN, 2 o'clock kickoff, 1:30. Tune in for the pregame show, and it'll be homecoming, and it'll be the first ever game on the new turf. So thank you guys to Coach Doup and Ty Compton for coming down. Look forward to speaking with you again next week, Coach. This is the Tim Doup Coaches Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Till next week.